Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm excited because I get to talk to my son, who is back from, boot camp, combat training, and he got a couple weeks off break for the holidays. And this is the first time we've actually ever done this together, and he's ever seen the studio. And he is my son, Alec. Alec, I'm so happy you're here, buddy.
I'm happy to be here, Dad. Yeah, very happy to be here. Seeing the studio and just finally getting to be on your podcast that I listened to at base once I got done with combat training and boot camp, because obviously we don't have our phones there. But once we got to the schoolhouse, yeah, I was able to listen to all the stuff you're making, which is really cool. I loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it so far. But again, I talked about it in the first couple episodes. The whole point of it was I wanted to record stories for you and your sister and try to get people on that have been in those, because I've been telling you guys stories for years.
Yeah, yes.
And I think as you get older, you're like, is he full of shit or is it actually true?
Well, I mean, some of the stories were, the ones that you tell me some of them are absolutely ridiculous, that they're so outrageous that I can't help but believe them because they're so specific. Like you fighting the family of 7, that was outrageous.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I don't know if I've actually told that story on the podcast yet.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. It's absolutely... You fought a whole bloodline.
I did.
You just fought the whole generation all in the same house.
I did. I'll give you a point of reference for that. So this was in Hillsborough. And actually, I should talk about this one time with BJ, because BJ was my zone partner at the time. And he left to go to school resource. And I gave him a bunch of shit because I'm like, dude, you left me.
Oh yeah, he was at my elementary school. Yeah. I remember that.
Like, you left me in the streets all by myself. And literally, I think within a week or two, I got a call for a domestic, and I show up, and the dad's outside. It's an older gentleman, and you could hear fighting inside the house. And I'm like, what's going on? He goes, my oldest son and my youngest son are fighting. I want my oldest son removed from the house. That's all he says. And then when he's saying that, I hear smash on the ground. So I'm like, all right. I said, they're inside. He goes, yep. He guides me into the house, points at the 2 sons. They're clearly fighting. And I start giving commands. Both sons turn and look at me and go, get the fuck out of our house. And they start making aggressive motions towards me. And I'm like, so I go to grab the oldest son, because that's who I'm there for, per the dad who called 911.
Yeah.
When I grab the oldest son, I feel somebody jump on the back of my neck and put their arm around me. I had no idea who it was. Not that it really would have mattered, I guess. So I don't know how to describe it. I just kind of slid him off enough to give my elbow room, and I cracked him in the face with my elbow. Well, that person was their mother, who was like 60. She goes flying over the couch, lands on the coffee table, smashes it.
Oh.
Now the dad who called me there is running at me because he saw me hit his wife, who had just jumped on my back.
Oh my God.
So I basically throat chop him over the couch, put him next to his wife. Then that's when I realized this is a family that has 7 children, all adults. And they all come pouring out, and they're all trying to fight me, bring me to the ground, kick me, punch me. And I'm basically just picking them up and throwing them into each other or into furniture as I'm trying to back my way out of the house. We have, in Hillsborough County, we have these red buttons. They're emergency buttons. It's called 1024 status. And it basically freezes all radio traffic so that you have an open mic, and I'm calling for backup, and they can hear just smashing and cursing and slamming and fighting. And as I'm backing out of the house, I keep sidestepping back, and I'm doing what I got to do. As I get to the door frame so I can get out of the house, the daughter and a son grab the collar of my uniform.
Oh my God.
So I grab them, and I'm dragging them out of the house with me. Right as I do that, I hear like a whoosh behind me, and it was a detective who I loved, a.k.a. Batman. Love that guy.
Oh, hell yeah.
Big dude. He tackles, there was an adult friend outside who I didn't even know was there. He was about to punch me in the back of the head.
Oh, shit.
So he side tackles this dude as I'm dragging these 2 people out. The entire district, so like
Oh my God.
40 cops, K9. I mean, I think the major and the captain, like everybody collapses on this house.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. They grab the 2 people I have. I fall to the ground. I'm out of breath. I'm sweating.
Yeah.
My uniform is all just destroyed, ripped to pieces. I'm bleeding. Most of it was their blood, but they had gotten a few shots.
Hell yeah.
And I'm laying on the ground. And as I'm laying on the ground, my sergeant comes over and goes, "Hey, buddy, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "Are you hurt?" I'm like, "No, sir." He's like, "So who's going to jail?" I said, "All these motherfuckers are going to jail."
Yeah, I knew you arrested the whole family. I knew you said that.
He goes, "Okay, just breathe, relax. We're here. Just take a minute, compose yourself." So I get up, I'm dusting myself off and all stuff. They grab every single person in the house. They put them in cars. They roll them to the district. So we get to the district, and detective and the supervisors pull me into a room. I have to explain the story that I just laid out. And they're like, "Okay." And they go in and they individually interview each family member. Now, I didn't realize this. The mom, her ankle's like swollen. They're all bleeding. And they're holding their arms. And
Jesus Christ.
And the girl who I was dragging out of the house, who had grabbed me by my collar, she had a colostomy bag from something else. And I had
oh, my God.
So I'm like, oh, my God. I had no idea. I'm just fighting.
I mean, you got what I've always called Kratos strength.
But all I can remember, because I sat there and I watched the interviews. And so the purpose of the interviews, they were trying to see if this was some sort of ambush thing where they're like trying to get cops to come in so they could beat them up or hurt them or whatever. It was not the case. Long and short of it is, the 2 brothers were fighting. It was a true domestic about some bullshit.
Yeah.
The mom didn't want the dad to call the cops, so she didn't know he had called the cops. Next thing she knows, she sees me coming into her house, about to put hands on her son. She said, "I blacked out. I shouldn't have done it. I'm so sorry." She goes, "Can you actually tell that officer, thank you?" And the detective was like, "Thank you."
Thank you.
She was like, "He could have killed all of us."
Yeah.
And he didn't.
Definitely.
So fast forward like a year, I think. Everybody pled out except for the lady with the colostomy bag. She didn't want to plead out. She didn't want any criminal charges. And I was like, "I don't care, man. Whatever. Just let it go." But the state prosecutor was like, "No.
You can't.
Too much time and energy in this. We're not doing that."
Yeah.
So it went to trial.
God.
Just for her. Everybody else in her family pled out. They got their charges. It was like community service. But nobody went to jail.
Light work.
Actually, I think they went to jail at night, but nobody got sentenced.
Yeah.
We go to trial. Her defense attorney is outlining what happened. And he basically described me as Goldberg from WWE or whatever it is. WWF, whatever. Wrestling.
Yeah.
Sorry. And he's climbing up on tables, jumping off them, elbows.
What?
I'm like, what, dude? And they showed pictures of the house, which I had not seen and I didn't remember. Every piece of furniture was destroyed, and there was broken shit. The couch was broken.
Oh my God.
There was a big china hutch destroyed. The kitchen table destroyed. Everything was broken. And I was like, "Oh,
wow.
I didn't realize I did that."
Well, a little stronger than you thought.
I was like, "Uh-oh, whoops." Anyway, they were all found guilty. Again, I was like, "Dude, I don't want." She doesn't need to. It was just a bad time. Now,
yeah,
they chose the wrong one.
Yeah, I know that.
Now, with that being said, my sergeant, after all this was over, was like, "I got a question for you."
Oh shit.
He said, "Mark, come here."
Huh?
"Yes, sir." He's like, "There was 9 people in that house fighting you." I said, "Yes, sir." He's like, "Did you ever think to pull out your firearm?" I was like, "Well, I think if they would have got me to the ground, I would have." I said, "But I was winning."
Yeah.
He's like, "Fair enough.
Hell yeah.
Get out of my office."
Yeah. So simple as that.
So yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think I've ever talked. You reminded me. I don't think I've ever talked about it.
Yeah, it's an awesome story. It's one of my favorites.
So anyway, we're talking about what you've been up to, because I kind of outlined boot camp, combat training, and all that stuff. But I'll let you tell it.
Yeah. So any Marine out there obviously knows when they first get to boot camp, stepping on those yellow footprints, and the absolute "oh fuck, what the hell did I just do to myself" moment. I remember standing in those yellow footprints with the folder that they give you at MEPS, and an angry receiving DI, and not even your actual DI, comes out, starts giving you the whole spiel, and you're just sitting there like, oh shit. Like, you're standing at attention, you're in clothes that you've been wearing for the whole day, you've been up all day. Yep. After MEPS, you're tired as shit already. It's like midnight or 1 in the morning when you get there. Then they make you get in for like your basically your very first formation, and they march you through those silver hatches, which is it's a big deal. You never enter those again. Like, you don't really realize the importance of that. It's like actually a big deal because you just never go through those again. Yeah. So you walk through not knowing what you just did, and you're sitting at these prison desks, metal, gold, and they start kind of organizing you into your platoons. You're filling out paperwork. This isn't like you're just filling out casual paperwork. You got DI screaming in your ear hole to fucking fill it out as fast as you can. Like, you're lazy fucking things, or you're moving slow. Like, oh, you ain't gonna last at all. You know, all that fun stuff. Like, they're gonna chew you alive, etc. So they saw after processing and filling out pieces of paper that you hope you fill out right because you're nervous and like you're in panic mode. You're trying not to freak out. So they get you all in your platoons-ish, and then they take you to the first gear room. That's where you get your canteen, your toothbrush, your dial bottles of soap. Yeah, don't think you're going to be using those anytime soon. Because, like, you basically stay up for the first 2-3 days just getting gear. So you've been up for days. You've been eating box chow is what it's called, which is the worst sandwiches on this planet. Absolutely horrendous. I think for the first day, I didn't even eat the sandwich, but you just get so hungry, you just choke it down. And then eventually they just taste decent because that's the only food you've been getting for a couple days. Then you get to the classroom, and then they tell you to take off all your civilian attire, so you're just butt naked in the classroom for a couple seconds, getting on your green, your tight skivvy shorts and your skivvy shirt, and now you're in green and a glow strap or a glow belt. So, like, everyone knows that you just arrived there. And you're getting marched around to all the different areas. You're getting gear at a warehouse, and, like, there's workers there, and you're thinking, like, oh, maybe they'll be a little bit better than your receiving DIs. Absolutely not. They're absolutely roasting the shit out of you the whole time. Like, you're grabbing your gear, and they look at you like, yeah, I can't wait to see you back here when you're giving me this gear back. Saying shit like that. Like, absolutely trying to break you mentally, because it's all a mental game. You're sitting outside on, like, gravel roads and stuff because they're just waiting to process you. I learned very quickly, it's just waiting. A lot of boot camp was just waiting. So you're going to different gear warehouses, and then finally, I think the final thing you receive is your rifle. And you think that's fun. No, you're standing out in the hot sun, or the cold, depending on when you go. I was standing out in the hot sun. It was awful. I hated it. You're filling out paperwork, getting screamed at, standing at attention for hours. Like, you haven't sat down in a couple days. So you get your rifle, you have to hold it a certain way, like straight up, or you're going to get your shit rocked because it's a weapon. You got to treat every weapon as if it were loaded, which is that's the first safety rule. So you finally get all your stuff, and they take you to your squad bay, and you're like, okay, I finally get to sleep. I'll get to sleep tonight. Which you do, but they teach you how to make your rack, which that isn't stressful at all. They're screaming at you, making 45-degree corners, and you're tired, so you're fucking it up, and they're all pissy at you. It's so much fun. And then you finally take your first shower. That was a really big eye-opening moment for me. Because, yeah, like, I've been in a male locker room, sure, but showering with 80 naked dudes, or more, I think it was like 90, was so weird. Because you're online, and then you strip down to, like, a brown towel around your waist. And then they say, all you get in the fucking rain room, which is the showers. I was like, yeah, why do you call it that? We don't have time to ask any of those questions, or you shouldn't. So y'all get fucking herded into the rain room, and you drop your fucking towel. You're all butt-ass naked, and everyone's like, oh my God. You're shoulder to shoulder. You're packed like sardines in that shower. You're getting rushed, giving you like 200 seconds, 300 seconds, but if you don't scream back loud enough, they shorten the time. So you're like rubbing like this terrible dial soap all over your body. You're not clean. You're not actually showering. You're just getting wet. And then you go like shave your dumb little face, and then you brush your teeth.
Wash your balls in your tank.
Yep. God, it's just that was so much fun doing that for the first day. And then finally you get back online, And then they're like, oh, fuck you. You start like doing push-ups or like planks because they're just pissy with you. And then you start scuzzing the floor because we started cleaning, which scuzzing is like sweeping with like a little brush. Like you actually duck walk with it. You're not like on all fours. Like you're in a squat the whole time scrubbing the floor. And if you don't want to stay in that squat, they'll make you basically like bear crawl, but both hands on the brush. So you're kind of just pushing it along the floor up and down the squat bay until like your legs are absolutely shaking, and then they'll make you keep going. And then like for those that were overweight, it would be like, oh, I bet you'd keep going if there's a Twinkie in front of you, you fat thing. You can't laugh because, oh my God, if you laugh, you get absolutely fucked up. It's the funniest place on earth, but you're not allowed to laugh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Get you composure.
Yeah, it's bearing. You gotta learn your bearing. Hold your bearing. So finally, like, at that day, we finally get to hit the racks, and then all of a sudden, you gotta make Firewatch. So, in boot camp, I thought it was bad, but it's just an hour compared to what I've done later on, how long my actual duties are, which were like 4 to 6 hours. Like, my first duty at my schoolhouse I was at was at 3 a.m. till like 8 o'clock.
Well, hold on. Before we go to the schoolhouse, I actually, so I talked about a little bit before. I've explained that proud of you, but you were my music, arts.
Oh, yeah.
You like playing video games. I mean, whatever. What I always told you, I was like, your knees are going to be amazing when you're 40, because as a football player, my knees are destroyed.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel the knees now because of the rucks. Because now I chose, because I used to do a bunch of music and like theater before the Marine Corps. Like, typical band nerd. I'll admit it.
What actually pushed you to go?
Well, I mean, I knew it was like your side of the family, everyone did it, but I was for a long time sure like, hell no, never in a million years did I think I was going to do the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
So then, like, obviously towards the end of high school, I get into pre-med. I get into college. Did you know I got into college? Yeah. Okay. I didn't know because I didn't know if I told you. So again, in pre-med, I'm just like, but I keep remembering the conversations you had with me about debt. And I was just like, how much it's affected you and affected your whole life. It's just never left you. College debt just is ridiculous. So I was like, well, I can't really afford this. So I was left with options. I was like, well, I still go to pre-med school and I rack up an unholy amount of debt trying to become a doctor and all that fun stuff, and I'm in a new place. I don't know anyone, all by myself, trying to figure it out in a dorm room with zero life skills. And you were telling me, like, the world is not getting any safer. It's becoming a much more dangerous place. And I always wanted to be capable and able to defend myself and able to survive shitty situations.
Yeah.
Which, growing up where I was, it was a very quiet town, very closed-minded town. It's very safe. Like, people don't lock their doors there. Like, it was a very safe place.
Yeah.
Compared to basically really anywhere else.
So I remember it was the end of your junior year, the summer before your summer year. That's what you were like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, so that deciding factor is because, well, you're the one that got me in contact with a recruiter. Because he said, like, oh, this Marine Corps recruiter can help you with medical stuff. And I was confused because there's no medical anything in the Marine Corps, right? So the recruiter I talked to, he was obviously very nice because now that I know, that's just his job. So he's telling me all these ways, like, through the Marine Corps, I could, like, become a doctor, and he was giving me the whole spiel about it. So I was just like, okay, I'll hear him out. Sure, I'll go. I'll show up to the office, maybe show up to a PT session, just see what it's all about. And seeing how physically capable I was, like, I was able to do a pretty decent amount of pull-ups at the time. I was really good at running. I could run really fast. I was able to do the plank. I was just like, okay, maybe I could do this. Kind of put some like air under my wings, give me a little bit of confidence. And just the more I thought about it, I mean, I always loved the idea of being able to learn how to shoot, fight, and beat ass. I mean, yeah. I think every male has that dream of like being the strongest,
Well, it's a dying thought, but most, yeah.
Most have. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The ones that I know, the ones that I grew up around with. Yeah. So, I mean, I went to MEPS, I enlisted, and that's kind of when I knew I was just like, I kind of want to do this. It seemed very appealing to me because it matched the type of man I wanted to be.
There you go. Okay.
Which is something that mattered more to me than just going straight into college.
Okay.
Because I knew,
Will do after.
which I 100% now it's all paid for.
I also still stand by. So I went from high school to college. I played football.
But you play D1 football.
Respect.
Yeah.
Humble brag.
Yeah, humble brag. You didn't even know there was other divisions. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. That's a funny story. I learned later that there's multiple divisions, and I was like, oh, they play football.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, what, D3 football is a thing? I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, accidental asshole, which I can be an asshole all by myself. I hate it when I become an accidental asshole, which I definitely was in that regard. But I asked this, we're going to get back to combat stuff, but we're just kind of going on a bunny trail. But I asked your sister this because it's something that I always think about growing up. So in the last episode, I talked with Mo because she had her son after she'd already been in law enforcement. Mm-hmm. So for her, she's doing things to her that just make sense because this is how we do things. Safety, security, basically teaching you how to scan a room, understanding that there's evil people in the world, handling firearms. Like these are normal things for people who are in the military or in law enforcement because they deal with it every day.
Which, yeah, I mean, you would tell me about this stuff growing up, that there are bad people out there, that I need to learn how to protect myself, and there is someone out there that is more than willing to take advantage of you.
Yes.
I've just never experienced it till, I mean, I went into boot camp and MCT. Like, there's a big problem with people always stealing stuff. But learning that there are people out to get you and they're actively trying to do it was just like, and actually seeing it was a big eye opener for me.
Actually, hold on. Making a note one real quick, but because I'm going to come back to it. We'll talk about this in a second.
But that was one of the bigger things that I learned in the Marine Corps.
Yeah. But again, we joke and laugh now about my parenting style. But I need you to understand, and your sister as well. So you guys were already around when I joined law enforcement. So I had a preconceived notion prior to law enforcement. And then I got bombarded with how heinous people can be. Training, experience, casework that I did. I dealt with, what I would call regular criminals, burglars, robbers, thieves. I also saw horrific car crash, like how fast your life can change in a moment, car crashes, things like that. But I also dealt with pedophiles, child abusers,
gross,
things like that. And I learned a lot about it. And so I'm like actively learning while also having children, trying to not scare you and your sister to fear everyone, but also to know, like, look, there are some evil motherfuckers that exist and walk this earth that will destroy you in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Especially as children, but then even into adulthood, there's always somebody, again, I will say not the majority, but there are bad people.
100%.
And so I felt like I was always trying to walk this line, and I think sometimes I did better, sometimes I did worse. And trying to articulate that to you guys. And I feel like sometimes it came off as harsh, which I guess reality is harsh. But
reality is harsh,
again,
yes.
You're 6 and 4.
Yep. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit, growing up like that? Young.
Yeah, so like...
As far back as you can remember, not asking.
Yeah, when I was younger, I mean, when you were like in like doing deputy shit in the streets of like Florida and stuff, I have this vivid memory of mom washing blood off of your uniform. And I pointed, I was like, is that dad's blood? Right? Because I was 7, right? She's like, no, that's bad guy's blood. I was like, whoa. And I remember seeing your knuckles raw one day. And that, like, at 7 years old, that's when I started to figure out, I was like, what does my dad do? Because, like, when you're 7, you're, like, your vision of a cop is, like, a cartoon cop.
Yeah.
You're catching a guy, like, in a ski mask, running around with, like, money bags with dollar bills on it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize that, like, no, you're fighting like bad people. Like you're fighting for your life. So just seeing bad guys' blood on the uniform and seeing your knuckles raw, I was just realizing like, holy. And then I got to see you. You were in like the start of it, but you were on Cops.
Yep.
At one point, well, Uncle BJ was like the one talking, but I saw you in the background. Like it was in our hometown, like where you were doing stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, it was kind of cool to just see a glimpse of you in the background handling stuff. Just like, oh, this is what my dad does.
Yeah. Well, and so, I mean, do you remember anything as a kid? I mean, we could talk about it now because we talked about
being raised.
Yeah.
Well, as a kid,
no, go ahead.
You work a lot of night shifts. So I just really remember you tired, and then I do remember you when you graduated. The only thing I really remember from that is when you came home and you were pepper sprayed.
Oh yeah.
And how miserable you looked. It looked like you had the fever.
Yeah. Eyes were swollen, face was bright red.
It's kind of funny to me. But what I remember vividly, it was during my tween years when I was like 11, 12, 13, around those, because that was during COVID, and we would work out a lot together during COVID because there's really nothing else to do. And at the time, it felt very, very harsh to me because the way you would push me was how a drill instructor would push you, basically telling you that you're weak, you're gonna die, right, if you don't do this last push-up.
Yeah.
And I was 13, so I would cry, right, like tears, whatever, and then you would tell me that it's just like, that's not gonna solve anything. You crying is not gonna fix it. It's not gonna get that push-up done.
Yeah.
And at that time, I thought that was harsh. I would just go run away to my room, and I didn't want to work out with you anymore. Yeah. And I was all pissy, and I just completely avoided it altogether. But now, well, yeah, it makes sense. Like, now when I'll eventually, inevitably get deployed, I can't just cry when a bullet goes flying over my head. I can't cry when I'm fighting a bad guy, like fighting an enemy. It's not going to fix it. Like, you have to kill him or you're going to die.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So, like, now with my new job, right, how you raised me when I was 12, 13, it's useful now. But at that time, I was just like, my dad's absolutely fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like, why the hell are you doing this to me?
Yeah, and so we've got some episodes lined up for mental health stuff with law enforcement, and I think it's kind of cool.
It's also a big deal in the Marine Corps, mental health.
We'll talk about that as well.
Yeah.
Because you've already
yeah, literally seeing shit that we had like 2 people already. Like, when I got there, like 2 people hung themselves.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big problem where I'm at.
Yeah. It's everywhere.
But yeah, it's everywhere.
But it's hard to explain, especially to kids. You go work a 12, 16, 18-hour shift because it depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And whether or not you had court, and you just got done arresting domestic violence or seeing somebody's family get killed in a car crash or work alive or just whatever, just the absolute worst side of humanity. And then you go home and you're tired and you just had a mentally, emotionally draining shift.
Yeah.
And your kids are just like, hey, dad's home. And you're just not in the mindset to reciprocate that. And you just want to get your uniform off, take a shower, or sometimes just rack out even without a shower because you're so exhausted. And then you wake up and you're like, you got to do it all over again. You barely had time to process what you just did the night before, and you got to go do it again.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, your kids are like, Dad, I got a A on my spelling bee or test or whatever. Or, oh, Dad, how's your day? You don't want to be like, yeah, I arrested some child abusers, or I took some kids out of a meth lab.
Yeah, because I was 7, 8 years old.
So you're trying to work as fine, so I don't know. It's something I'm actually just now starting to realize as I have some time to step away from it all. But
yeah,
you guys are getting older, and these are things that I think about now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a lot of time away. But, for me, it's like I always wanted you and your sister to always have like a safe home, a happy home, a healthy home. But at the same time, not be naive to the world And sometimes it's hard not to get disgruntled. And listen, I only did, I think, 5 years with Hillsborough and a year with state police. So there's guys that did 20, 30 years in worse environment than I did. So I can only imagine how it happens. But these are the things that I think about now that I'm getting older.
Yeah. No, it's just obviously I've had time to look back at my childhood now that I'm out of it. Obviously I'm not a kid anymore. It's just how you raised me, and like I was very even in school I was very cognizant of the evil in this world. Like one of my best buddies, he went into the Marine Corps with me. It took us like a year to convince them to lock their doors.
Yeah.
Because they absolutely refused to believe that someone would just go in there and take their stuff. Because that's unheard of. Like, why would they do that? I'm like, yeah,
it's the same way.
Not anymore. Thank God. Yeah. They actually locked their doors. But it took me forever. Like, I would be at a sleepover and their doors are just wide open. And I couldn't sleep, and I would get up and lock their doors for them. And their parents would be all pissed. Like, who the fuck locked the door? I was like, that was me. I was like, you forgot to lock it, so I locked it for you. They're like, what? I was like, you don't lock your door. And I was absolutely confused because obviously in our house, we literally had barricades on our doors and cameras.
Now, with that being said, hopefully I articulated this, but did I ever say that this would absolutely keep anybody out?
No. What you told me was it's not, if someone really wanted to get into the house, they absolutely will. Yep. What it will do is create noise and wake us up so we can either shoot the fucker or give us time to call the cops and hide. So, also had a little, I was a little bit paranoid in the friend group because every time we would go out, I'd be like, okay, what's the exit strategy? And they're like, what?
Yeah. I
was like, yeah. So if something happens, how are we leaving this place safely? And they would look at me like, dude, you're paranoid, man. You need to calm down. I was like, no. Because the one time it fucking happens and we get out fine, I'm not crazy anymore.
Yeah, and again, that's one of those things where 99% of the population, well, maybe less, but hopefully we'll never have to deal with that.
I hope not.
But when you're a cop, you see that every fucking day.
Yeah.
So you see it every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like, this happens all the time. That's not reality.
Yeah.
But for a cop, it is your reality. You see that shit. And I know for a soldier, and again, you're still early in your career.
Very, very early.
You go to war and stuff, they see atrocity.
Yes.
They come back and they are just, everyone's a fucking enemy. It's like, no, dude, it's not reality. That's just, that's your reality from what you were in.
Yes.
So it's hard to separate those things.
Yeah, it took me a while to ease up on that. Because I knew I lived in Maine, and that more likely than not, nothing's gonna happen. But that paranoia, that little paranoia was always there. I was always like, at restaurants, I would sit and face towards doorways, just so I could see who's coming. And one time, it did work out in my benefit. So I was at a McDonald's with my boys, hanging out, and I was facing the doorway, and I see this guy come in. And he's cracked out of his mind. He's fucking high on something, and he has a pocket knife. And he's like waving it around, walking through the McDonald's. As soon as I see that shit, I'm like, without a word, I was like, all of you get the fuck up. We're getting the fuck out of here right now.
Yeah, we gotta go.
So we all get up and leave. It's just, and they're like, yo, what happened? And I point, we see through the McDonald's window. We're all sitting in the car, and I say, yo, look. And all sure shit, they see that fucking crackhead waving a fucking knife around, and then I hear sirens a little later. I'm like, I fucking told y'all. I'm not fucking crazy. Yeah. I told you. Yeah. I fucking told you. And they all look at me.
They had no idea.
Yeah, they had no clue what just walked into that McDonald's. And I was just like, I fucking told y'all, one day I was going to be right.
It just happened that quick.
And then from then on, they locked their fucking doors.
Well, there you go.
The majority of them, that's when they kind of sealed the deal. I'm like, you know what? Maybe there's bad out there. I was like, yeah.
Yes, there is.
It's there's 100% evil out there.
So I wrote down the note because, again, when you went to boot camp, you got exposed to people from
everywhere,
all walks of life, all different parenting structures,
yeah,
all types of personalities.
And that was So my platoon consisted of mostly people from the Bronx, New York, and Jersey. So you already knew that we were literally labeled the asshole platoon. We're a bunch of fucking dicks, but we could all fight because the majority of those people in that platoon they just grew up fighting. Yeah. They've always fought. They fought to survive where they were at. Yeah. I mean, obviously we bonded because it's our platoon. We grew really tight, but yeah, we were dicks to other platoons. Like we had a whole platoon fight in the middle of a chow hall.
Yeah, but
because that's just like their personalities are so defensive and they're so angry and they don't take shit because that's just how they were.
Yeah.
And like other platoons, a lot of them were from the South, and a lot of people like they grew up in my platoon. They didn't really have the best households.
So that's what I want to ask you about. You talk about that because you said you met dudes that have been shot.
Yeah. So like in the rain room, I would like in the rain room I'd see them with scars. Like some of them had like fucking bullet holes, like healed bullet holes in their bodies.
Yeah.
I was just like, how? And eventually asked like how.
These guys were all 17, 18.
And they practically were all like young adults, like kids, like bullet hole scars. Like some dude, his head was just full of scars. It was like almost more scars than hair when they would shave his head.
Yeah.
I was just like, how the hell did that happen to you, man? And he's like, yeah, I was walking down the street and I just got fucking jumped and they're hitting me in the head with rocks, punching. I thought I was gonna die. He was like, I got lucky that they left me alone. And like some dudes are really big. They're like the amount of times that people like to challenge me just because of my size.
Yep.
Like I have to beat ass. Like I had to crack fucking skulls just to like go about my business.
Yeah.
Like so like when they got to boot camp, like it wasn't, for some of them it was, they enjoyed it because they had some sort of safety.
Yeah. They
had a place to sleep. They had 3 meals a day.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you too. Like some of them came from homes where, again, that wasn't the case.
Like some of them really fucking enjoyed boot camp. Yeah. Like boot camp was like their first enjoyable place. There's their first piece they had, which is absolutely ridiculous. Because when I was there, it's like, I fucking hate this shit. Because I grew up in a very safe, I had a memory foam bed with bamboo sheets, right? Like I was used to comfort. So in boot camp, I was put in the uncomfy, but for some, they were put into a comfortable situation, which is just very interesting. And like guys like that, they absolutely thrived in the Marine Corps. Like,
yeah. So it's a name drop, but so Mike Tyson talks about that, where he said that he went to prison for 3 years and it was the most peace he ever had.
Yeah.
Which is a wild statement because he was already heavyweight champ and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but when you're heavyweight champ, everybody wants something from you.
Yep.
And he didn't feel safe. Like, I mean,
they want that smoke. They want to see why you are heavyweight champion.
There he goes.
Well, I mean,
so that you told me that people found like for them boot camp was peace.
Yeah, and then like when we got to like our
food.
Yeah, and like when we got to fighting week
and structure,
they fucking loved it. I mean, our platoon was the best fighting platoon.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw anyone lose any fight in our platoon. Obviously, including myself. Because humble brag. But yeah, I mean, they loved it. Yeah. I mean, and then they got to learn how to shoot and like, I mean, you give any 19-year-old, 18-year-old a rifle, everyone's gonna have a dumb smile on their face.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about that. So I was gonna ask you because I talked to your sister about it, but you were in it.
Yeah.
So when we went to your graduation, which I had been to your uncle, my brother, his graduation, but it was a little different, I think. I remember it different. But I remember watching the drill instructors just go predator mode in full uniform with the Smokey Bear on.
Yeah.
Just sprinting up and down the line, but like super athletic, but super tight and like in full uniform.
Yeah.
It was wild, crazy to me.
Yeah, drill instructors, I have nothing but respect for them. Obviously, because one, they'll rip my head off if I didn't say that. But genuinely, I do, because what they do is very important. They are basically creating the future of the Marine Corps. But drill instructors are peak athleticism. They have to be as athletic as possible.
Yeah.
And shows. Like they would run 3 miles with us. They would PT with us.
So when you say 3 miles, they're not just running 3 miles.
Oh no, it's not like
up and down the line, screaming and hollering while also running 3 miles. So they're running like 8 miles. I don't even know. It was wild.
So we have the whole company running the 3 mile, right?
Yeah.
And they would have drill instructors all spaced out, but they would sprint back and forth for those 3 miles, basically trying to catch the fucking stragglers that weren't running.
Yeah.
And they were just on their fucking ass. So they're screaming at the top of their fucking lungs while sprinting, and they're not even out of breath. And then they kept it up all fucking day.
Yeah.
All day. I mean, obviously they would do zins, like they would have 4 in their mouth and be hyped up on like 3 energy drinks ready to fucking rock and roll at 4 in the morning. Like 4 in the morning, you're getting screamed at to get online. Like they're all fucking ready to go. Let's go fucking PT.
Well, and just because I like to bring it up too, but you also had a female owner.
Yeah, female platoon. Yeah.
You said those drill instructors.
They're just as
horrifying.
Just as nasty.
And just as
it's all equal.
Running back and forth. Yeah.
Yep. Like they're also freak athletes. They don't care. Like as long as you do their fitness standard, it doesn't matter what you are. And they upheld it just as well.
Yeah. Fucking running, hauling ass.
Yeah.
I love it.
It was amazing. I mean, obviously watching it like with you, I was just like, ooh, because obviously I just finished boot camp and I was like super uptight watching that shit. Yeah. But I still remember it's like they did that to you. I was like, yeah, they're being nice because it's family day. So family day, they don't really IT anyone in the sand pits because it doesn't look good because like the moms, mostly the moms will see like they did that to my baby. Oh, my baby. Yeah, I was like, yeah, on non-family days, I was eating sand every other day. I was getting IT'd just to get IT'd sometimes. They're supposed to have a reason, but there's always some like bullshit reason or some funny reason like, you're ugly, go. Or like, oh, you're next to him, you're his battle buddy, go.
Tell him your punchable face story.
Oh, so I had the flu in boot camp. I think everyone gets sick in boot camp.
Yeah,
So basically, they're asking who needs to wait in like the sick bay for a bit for morning chow, right? Like who feels like absolute dog. So I did. Like I felt like absolute shit. Like I could barely stand. Yeah. And so like we all the ones that are sick all step out online and they're like you go, and they just my drill instructor stops and stares at me. I'm just like, oh fuck, what did I do? He's like, there's no fucking way, son. I was like, aye, sir. He's like, don't I sir me. You have the most fucking punchable face I've ever seen. And I don't know if it was the flu was in my brain. And I say back, yeah, my dad said that too. The drill instructor, sir. He was just like, he hides behind his hat because he's trying not to laugh. He's like, Martin, go fucking die. And I get my fucking shit rocked on the quarterdeck and then I get to go to the sick bay. But like doing IT while like having the flu was just, the fact that I did it, I was impressed, but oh my God, it wasn't pretty. Because like the whole time I was doing like, Martin, you weak fucking thing. You will hold that goddamn plank. I was like, aye, sir.
Now, would you say they were meaner or nicer to you than I was trying to
Oh my God, so much meaner. Are you fucking kidding? So much meaner. Like, holy shit. The things they would say, like, during like shooting range, the shooting instructors there, every single one stops and stares at me. The whole, like, it's like 20 of them. Oh my God. They all start pointing like, you look like a fucking frog, son. I was like, and then like for the shooting instructors, you don't have to like say, aye, sir. They don't like you. It's like, stop being fucking weird. Stop saying, aye, sir. I'm not your drill instructor. And you're just, you don't know what to say. You're like, yes, person. Like you don't know because your brain has just been broken because the shooting is like halfway through boot camp. So you're more than well like used to screaming, aye, sir.
Yeah.
And they're all ganging up on me, called me that I looked like a fucking frog and I was ugly. But to be fair, and then they call it over the shooting tower to shoot your target, and then I hit a 5, which is a perfect shot.
Yep.
And they're like, well, at least Frog Boy can fucking shoot.
There you go.
I was like, yeah, there you go.
Fair enough.
But you know, the amount of memories I have in boot camp is so great. Or when I got caught showing teeth, which in boot camp, never in a million years you should ever show teeth. And I wasn't smiling. I was just, I don't know what I was doing. I was probably tired with my fucking mouth open like an idiot, open mouth breathing, like a fucking dumbass in formation. my drill instructor sees me and he walks up to me. He's like, "Is something fucking funny, son, or are you just retarded?" I'm like, "This recruit's retarded, sir." It's like, "Well, I fucking hate retards. Lock out your rifle."
Oh man.
And you just, I'm holding out my rifle in front of me, like by the barrel, and you just hold it straight armed, parallel to the deck, and you just hold it, and God forbid you start dropping it. Like, oh my God, because if you drop your rifle, it's 15 push-ups.
So before we go into combat training, what was your best memory and worst memory?
I'll do two best memories because there's ties. So my first best memory is right before the Crucible, and the whole platoon like got together, and we were all camaraderie and stuff. We were all praying for each other, all huddled up, and then our drill instructor comes out of the drill instructor office, and he's just like, "Secure that fucking gay shit immediately. I can't wait to fuck all of you up because of this. We'll see how good those fucking prayers work, son."
Love it.
But you could see there's a smile on his face because he was like happy that we were like bonded and supporting each other. But that shit was so funny. And by the end, like we're at the end point, so we were all kind of chuckling a little bit. Like we're like, "Aye, sir," and we all go back online. That was one of my favorite. That was my first favorite memory. And then second favorite memory it was during Crucible. It was the second day of Crucible, so I felt like shit. I know it's obviously training's always changing, but by then in the Crucible we could call them sergeant and staff sergeant. Okay. So my staff sergeant walks up to me. He's like, "Martin, you've been awfully quiet for all of boot, haven't you?" I was like, "Yes, staff sergeant. I did my best to do what I was told and try not to catch the heat from you, staff sergeant." He's like, "Well, that's fucking good. I'm gonna make you earn your Eagle Globe and Anchor today. I got something for you." "Oh, you sure shit had something for me." So we were doing like low crawl, which is skull dragging, right? So your face is in the fucking sand, and we're like basically snail fucking pace, scooching along the fucking sand. He's like, "Martin, your battle buddy's dead. Put him on your back." He gets on my back. He's 200 pounds.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, now like my slow pace already is like screeched to a halt, and I'm like, just barely getting across. He's like, "Martin, you're not suffering enough from me. I don't like it." So he throws all like my fire team, all the rifles were now are on my back plus him. Nice. Yeah, that was now I could barely move. Like I couldn't even scooch. Just I can't pull that weight.
Yeah.
Well, there's no I can't, but it felt like I couldn't. Yeah. And like the sand was like mixed with gravel and shit, so it was like absolutely slicing the shit out of my body. So I'm scooching like, Martin, what is that? What are you doing, son? "He's gonna die because of you, Martin. If you don't get across," and he like draws like a line in front of me. He's like, "If you don't get across this fucking line in 30 seconds, you're gonna start back to the beginning." And they're like smiling the whole time. And I'm just like, fuck. I don't know how I found it in me, but I scooched my fucking skinny little ass across that goddamn line in those 30 seconds. But during that, they're kicking sand in my face. Like, "Oh, Martin, explosion." Boom, and kick sand in my fucking eyes. And they're throwing pine cones at my fucking head.
Those are grenades.
Those are grenades, by the way. They're just throwing fucking rocks and pine cones at my Kevlar to test it. Yeah, they're like, "Yeah, we're making sure it's good, Martin." I get my ass across that line, but like, tears and snot were coming out of my fucking face. So they're like, "Martin, you did it." I pop up. He gets off my back. Standing up. He's like, Martin, how do you feel? Go ahead, be honest with me. And I'm just like, Staff Sergeant, I feel good, Staff Sergeant. He's like, "Martin." And then they look and they said, "Let me see your eyes, Martin, real quick." And they open. He's like, "Oh, fuck, Martin. Looks like you're about to heat case. Do I need to get a silver bullet for you?" And for those who don't know what a silver bullet is, it's this cold metal rod they shove up your ass to make sure that you don't overheat and die. Yep. So I was like, "No, Staff Sergeant. I don't need that, Staff Sergeant." He's like, "Your eyes are looking a little bit red," which like, they were. So like having like the first sign of a heat case is like having red eyes because you're super dehydrated. It's like, "Martin, you have red eyes. Are you lying to me? I can go get the corpsman right now." And then he grabs like a walkie-talkie and he's like, "Hey, I need a corpsman over here." I was like, "No, Staff Sergeant, I'm good, Staff Sergeant. Please, Staff Sergeant, I don't want a silver bullet, Staff Sergeant." He's like, "Martin, I'm just fucking with you. Get to the fucking end." I was like, I said, and then like they get us Gatorade because like literally half of us were about to fucking heat cases. They fucked us up at that course. So like we're all sipping Gatorade on our like packs, all like sniffling and going. But that's my favorite memory. So the worst memory that I had in boot camp was, so we fucked up at drill. You know, saying drill or die, right? And we chose to die that day. So we all get back to them like, we're not getting IT'd. We're like, what the fuck are they about to do to us? Uh-oh. So our kill hat comes out. He's like, grab your fucking assault packs. So we lock him out for a bit, for like 20 minutes. It's miserable. Those things are like filled with bullshit, like your Kevlar, so it's heavy. He's like, oh, that's good. Grab your fucking main packs, which is like, that's the big pack that you like do rucks with. And we're blocking both out. We're holding them above our heads. And he's like, 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And you slowly move your arms down. We do that for a bit. And we're fucking smoking. And until eventually you tell us to set the packs down. And we're like, okay, that's it, right?
That wasn't too bad.
Fuck no. So they're like, oh, that's good. Grab your assault packs. Go to the rain room. They're like, what? So he's like, you got 30 seconds. So we're all fucking trampling over each other again to the fucking rain room. We put them all in the rain room. He's like, now go get your fucking main packs. And then we go grab our main packs, do the same thing, throw it in the rain room. He's like, now mix them up. We all mix them up, right? He's like, y'all got 1 minute to unfuck my fucking rain room. So we're all trying to get our own shit. We don't make the time. He's like, oh, that's good. Turns it on. Now our shit is fucking soaked. And everyone's like, oh my God. All of our shit's fucking soaked.
Please no.
Please no. He's like, now unfuck my fucking rain room again. I think we obviously went over the time, but whatever, right? So we get our shit back and we put it on. We put our stuff on the racks. We get all of our stuff, but like now it's dripping all over our racks because our shit sucked. And then like the whole squad bay is like covered in water, soaked. He's like, yeah, now I still got some more for you. Everyone outside now. Strip. Which means takes off your blast. So we all know we're getting fucking IT. So we all go into the sand pits. They do their fucking IT shit, which obviously is fucking miserable. I always hated when we have to do jumping jacks and they like grab sand, clap it over your fucking bald heads. Punk ass things. Yeah. So we're all covered in fucking sand. We're wet. We're sweaty. And then we come back in, and then we're tracking in sand. So now our fucking squad bay is destroyed. It's covered in sand. It's wet. It's fucking humid in there. Miserable. Yeah. He's like, now you're going to clean my fucking squad bay. And that was that. He's like, are y'all going to fuck with my drill anymore? I'm like, no, sir. Are you sure? No, sir. And yeah, that was my worst. That was one of the worst experiences. I hated that shit. And then you're sleeping in a humid ass thing. Your bed is like your rack's slightly moist. Ugh. You're cold. And like for the first like hour, like you're at a tension on your rack. Yeah. So like stiff body on top of your sheets. He's like, did I fucking tell you to break covers, son? Oh shit. You're like, no, sir. He's like, you better sit the fuck on top of your rack before I fuck you up. You're like, aye, sir. You're like, everyone's miserable. We're tired of shit. They barely they wanted us to be like at least a little sandy, so they barely gave us any time to like hygiene. So they made sure we went to bed uncomfy. That was an awful day. So I gotta say that was the worst. So I thought boot camp was the worst of it. Yeah, wrong. So I think we can roll into some combat training. So I get to combat training. So I finished boot camp. I feel invincible. Right. I finished Marine Corps boot camp. I finished basic. I was like, a lot of people can't do that. So I get to combat training. Sergeants are there. Still assholes to us, which I expected. I was like, yeah, it's the sergeants, staff sergeants. Yeah. Yada, yada, yada. They didn't let us fucking sleep for days, like 2 hours max. Like, because in boot camp, you always got 8 hours of sleep. That changed because of a thing called Mothers of America, which drill instructors always complain about. Because before then, like boot camp, yeah, they barely let you sleep anyways, but now you had to get 8 hours. Yeah. But MCT, you're a Marine now. You don't have to fucking sleep. Nope. So like day 4 of running off like just 2 hours of sleep a night, if you're lucky, if you got Firewatch, get fucked. You're just not sleeping. Yeah. In the atmosphere, like just no sleep for that long. And it basically was just like that for the month. Like you just didn't sleep. Yeah. Just no sleep. And I didn't know like what actually being tired was. Yeah. Until combat training.
So talk about that.
So, I mean, combat training was fun and miserable at the same time. Because, yeah, I got to shoot machine guns, which was fucking awesome. I think that's like a lot of dudes' dreams is to shoot a giant machine gun that shoots a .308 round. Fucking awesome.
Very awesome.
We got to do like legit tactical shooting, like cover shooting and like walking while shooting, speed reloads, basically practically just dumping mags into targets. Like that shit was fun as fuck. It was like, oh, that's the shit like in Call of Duty, right? Like you're finally doing that. That's what the sergeant said. Like, yeah, now you're doing like that Call of Duty shit instead of just being your fucking basements, you fat things.
Yeah. Now you're doing the real thing.
Now you're doing the real thing. But then the other shit, waiting information. And by then it was really fucking cold. So like standing information for hours in the freezing cold. Fucking hated it. And like you're just watching every hour tick by, realizing that you're losing sleep. That you're like, at most, if I'm lucky, I'm getting 2 hours tonight. Yeah. Absolutely fucking miserable. Because you got like, oh, you're going to bed at 02, Reveille's at 4. Like, fuck me. And I want my counts up by 4:30. And accountability is everything. Like, if we didn't have accountability at MCT, like, they would still fuck us up. It wasn't IT anymore. I didn't know what they called it because I was just so brain dead the whole of MCT. I was just so tired. But they would just make us plank in, like, full flak with the plates in and the Kevlar, and you're just holding a fucking plank because you're waiting for that one fucker to come out. Or you're just, taking your lump because you just didn't have counts up on time. So just rinse and repeat that for a fucking month. But the fun part was like the final like little test. It was called the Phoenix, something along those lines. And we got to like dig holes, trenches, and like basically kind of see for like a day, 2 days that like this is like kind of what warfare kind of looks like.
Yeah.
Obviously not nowadays warfare, but what it kind of looked like.
Yeah.
And we got to do like ambushes on each other's like defensive positions and like firing blanks at each other. Yeah. I was one of those lucky few since like our sergeant was like, hey, you guys actually aren't as retarded as I thought you were. You actually paid attention to your classes. So I'm going to take you on a night op. Cool as shit. I got to use night vision and shit, like all the stuff that like fantasized over.
Yeah.
And like you're shooting at people and that stuff was fun. I really enjoyed that. But man, it's just the cold, man.
Cold gets you, man.
The cold made it just miserable.
Yeah. Game changer.
But overall, I'd say combat training, it was difficult, but I had more enjoyment out of it. And like boot camp, because boot camp, you're just learning basics. Like, yeah, you still obviously do cool things like shoot and like you learn how to be a sharpshooter.
Yeah.
And you learn how to fight. But like combat training is more like the real shit. Like now you're doing ground fighting plus striking and doing all that cool shit.
Yeah. Dude, again, proud pop, obviously. Proud papa. Happy that, you're doing your thing and you seem to love it for the most part. So you had a couple questions for me, and I don't know the best way to articulate it, but one of them was, you said, how did I learn how to fight?
Yeah. So I've always known you to be a fighter, like ever since I was 7, like I was saying. And I always knew you were strong. You're always strong, like freakishly strong. Like I knew like, when I was a kid, like when kids would say, my dad could be your dad, I was more than confident that my dad could be your dad. And then I would show them what you looked like, or they would see you and be like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, disregard.
But I always wonder, like, because I know your fighting style is just brute strength, but I knew, like, I just want to know, like, where
it was
learned your skill sets, essentially.
So I want to, because your grandmother would laugh and still laughs. Because I wasn't obviously always 6'5", 300 pounds.
Yes.
Slim 300.
Yeah.
Because I remember the strength part was from football. But I remember 14-year-old me playing football, learning how to work out and lift weights because I never did that either. And I think they had like, my first bench press was the bar with 10s on the end.
Hell yeah.
And I was shaking on the way down.
No,
and then we did squats with like 25s on it.
Yeah.
And I think I did 2 or 3 and then I fell.
Wow.
Like I had to use the
I didn't know
benchers.
that.
Oh yeah. But luckily my teammates were like, yeah, you need to work on these. So the gym for me started at 14 and I mean, I had my teammates that were helping, but again, they help like other teenage kids help. Teenagers.
Yeah.
They rag on you. They fuck with you.
100%.
Your weight training coach will fuck with you.
Yep.
So that's all I've ever known. And that, I guess, was how I learned. So when
So
I
you
started
taught
teaching
me.
you how to work out, I obviously did the same. But so, yeah, so early on was strength stuff. But again, you and I had a little bit different upbringing. And I always lived in like the trailer park or the projects. And so I would either get picked on because I was either the only white kid or I was the new kid.
Yeah.
Because again, both my parents were in the Marines, so I moved around a lot. But I didn't really always have friends. I didn't have a core group. I didn't have a squad. I didn't have any of that. And so, yeah, I got my shit rocked many, 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 many times.
Goddamn.
And so I learned through experience of getting my ass kicked until, I don't know, 16 or 17, I learned how to hold my own. But it was street fighting at best. Anybody with any true skill set would destroy me. And yes, my size played a big part of it. I didn't really learn how to fight until I became a deputy with Hillsborough County. And we went through like some basic defense tactics, arresting, stuff like that. And it's a combo of, I don't know, I guess you would call it jiu-jitsu, wrestling. And boxing was the big thing, boxing. I would say now that I would never box anybody, especially in an official capacity, because I don't want to hurt my hands.
Yeah.
So I took it upon myself and did a lot of different training with on my own, Krav Maga, jiu-jitsu, a lot of ground fighting, because inevitably, especially in law enforcement, you're going to end up on the ground.
Yeah.
You end up dumping on the ground. And it's not a padded room. It's concrete, asphalt. And you don't want to punch because you'll break your fucking hand, especially if you miss, or even if you hit him in the head, you'll break your hand. So it's a lot of elbows, locks, palm strikes, things like that. So you learn how to use your weight. And you are correct. I'm a bigger guy. So typically, if I can get on top of you, I can just hold you down and maneuver. But no, I had to actually go outside my own agency, my own training, and I had to learn myself. And I remember trying to teach you and your sister very young, how to fight. You guys weigh like, I don't know, 30 pounds, 60 pounds, and I'm 300. And I'm trying to like articulate to you strength and also show you like, look, adult men, like if I wanted to, I could do whatever I wanted to.
Yeah.
To kind of get that understanding, like you need to learn a skill set.
Yeah.
And so I would say that I still do some training in that regard, but again, I use my mouth, verbal judo as they call it, to avoid fights. But kind of like what you were talking about, the biggest guy, everyone's like, oh man, it must be so great to be so big. I'm like, not really. Because when people fuck with you, it's win-win for them. If they lose, they were supposed to lose. But if they win, my God, it puts a different bug in your butt. And then the thing for me is, as a cop, if you lose, you could die. Because you're trying to arrest a bad guy.
Yep.
They can take your gun. They can knock your fucking ass out. You could die.
And
I had 2 children at home. So I was never going to fucking lose. Didn't matter.
Correct.
I was not going to lose.
That's true.
I don't give a shit what has to happen. I'm not going to lose. That's a mentality.
Yeah.
And with that being said, because obviously UFC is a big thing now, so people on the street now can fight way better than they ever have, mostly because of UFC. They're now learning. I know enough now to know if you are same as me, better than me, or way fucking better than me. And that's when I would there's no fair fight. I'm going straight to a gun or tool. I'm going to.
Exactly.
People call it, there's no such thing as a fair fight.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah, fuck that. I'm going to a tool. I'm going to do something to win.
Baton rap.
I've talked about it on the podcast, but when I went to Trooper Academy, they did a fight for your life thing. And I mean, my first fight, I was fish hooking the dude. Like, Martin, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, I'm not going to lose. I don't give a fuck.
I'm not losing this.
I'm not going to lose. I don't give a shit. But there's people that actually have true skill sets. So it's something that you have to learn. I'm not a badass. I don't know how to explain that. It's like, I don't want to fight anybody. I'd rather not if I have to. But I'm telling you right now, I don't like play fighting.
I hate play fighting.
I don't do that with my buddies. Like adult men that play fight, I'm like, ain't no fucking way.
Because I'm just going to hurt you.
No. Because one, I'm too old for that shit. You could actually hurt me. So I'm not gonna let you hurt me. And 2, I'm not gonna lose.
Yep, exactly.
Even if you're better than me, I'm not gonna lose.
So I learned, because like, I mean, my first ever fight was in like my senior year of high school. That was my first fight. It was at like some team dinner. Some guy acting like an asshole.
Yep.
Whatever. And it was a dumb fight. I mean, yes, did I win? Yes. But it wasn't like, I wasn't actually fighting someone with skill sets. I just got lucky. That's what I say. When my first like legit couple of fights, like, absolutely, I got my fucking ass handed to me for the first couple ones.
I think it's important, man.
Like, I got my shit absolutely fucking rocked. Like, even with the headgear getting punched right in the head,
yeah.
Like, holy fuck. Like, this shit hurts. Shit hurts. And then there's these things called, like, fight nights that happen, right?
Yep.
That's more like gloves off and stuff. It's kind of like Fight Club. It's discreet. It's like, obviously we're not allowed to do it, but I don't know. It's the Marine Corps. It happens. So I was new, and then there's like, oh, anyone that's new has to fight, right?
Absolutely.
So like I'm in the fucking ring pit, whatever, like blouse off, whatever. So I, used to wearing gloves, headgear, so I hit him in the face. I'm like, ow, fuck, that hurt my hand.
Yeah.
I hit him once, and I was just like, that fucking hurt my hand, like a lot. Like I thought I broke it.
Yeah.
So I took it to the ground, and I did a choke instead. I did a submission.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it's just the doing fighting like wrestling, like there's a set of rules. Boxing, there's a set of rules. But when you're legit just trying to fight someone, it's like chaotic as fuck.
Yeah.
It's not like the fucking movies where you're like squaring up, trying to take blows at each other. Nah, you just fucking unleash on each other.
And listen, I respect that shit. And honestly, I think there's not enough. I don't know how to articulate this well, but I don't think there's enough fighting at a young age for young men. And I waffle on this only because I'm not saying that dudes should just be fucking each other up all day at school or anything like that, but that's used to it. When I was growing up, me and my boys, we'd fucking knock each other, we'd rock each other.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, we'd be like, fuck it, whatever, and we'd.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. We're still friends.
Now everyone wants to get their feelings hurt, and they want to use weapons or whatever. Yeah. People end up getting killed and like bullied and all this. I'm like, dude, what? We've lost the fucking mark on what it is.
Like, well, essentially just honor. It's kind of like an honor thing.
Yeah, you got me. Sometimes I get you. Sometimes you get me.
Yeah,
it fucking happens.
It is what it is.
Yeah, you might catch me. It fucking happens. Yeah. But I think it's important because you learn about yourself.
Yes.
You feel comfortable with yourself. And you also can tell, like...
I definitely learned what I am capable of.
Yeah.
And, like, every time I've, like, fought now, that it's just... Every time I fight, it's just, like, I'm learning how strong I am or how effective I can be or what moves work for me.
Yeah.
And, like, what can I take? Can I take a hit? I can now. Like, just... I'm learning more about myself and my body, like... How much is too much for me?
Yeah. Well, and not to, again, I tend to do this. I talk about Joe Rogan because I listen to his podcast all the time.
Yeah, you do.
But everybody always wants to go and be like, oh, what's the best fighting style? There isn't one.
No, there's not.
It's what works best for you.
Yep.
Because not everybody's body's built for kickboxing, wrestling, or whatever. I will say, boxing if you need to you need to know how to throw a punch. You need to kind of have a menagerie of skill sets because boxing fisticuffs might not work in a bar fight, or it might not work when you're on the ground in concrete. You don't want to be boxing because if you miss, you're going to break your hand.
Yeah, you're just going to punch concrete.
Yeah. And so you need to be able to adapt to whatever you're in. And again, like I said, don't fight, especially if you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, that's my tactic. Like, just I've learned how to. Actually, you always taught me this. Like, even when I was a kid, like, you start, like, I remember when you did sometimes when I would get in trouble, right? Instead of, like, immediately punishing me, you would say, I'm going to give you a chance to argue and, like, debate why you did what you think is right and why I shouldn't punish you. So I got very good with my words because of that.
Use your words.
So I've learned how to...
Sometimes you would win.
And sometimes I would win. Like, sometimes I'd be like, holy shit.
Fuck it.
Like, learning how to use my words, like, that is always, that has been helping me, especially where I'm at now, especially in the Marine Corps. It's definitely diffused a lot of things because, well, people in formation get a little cranky, especially if you haven't been sleeping for a couple days. And when someone says, like, I'm going to fuck you up and rip off your head, and you be like, hey, listen, man, this is just fucking breathe, bro. Like, just take a time out. You sure you want to do that? It's like, you're a pussy. I was like, hey, man, I don't want to fucking fight, bro. We're both going to be hurting after this. It's not going to be fun.
I mean, you've met BJ. He's probably the strongest man I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, he's the strongest person I know.
And we joke back and forth because what happened if you two got into a fight? I'm like,
it'd be a bad day.
It'd be a bad day for both of us. I'm telling you right now. He might win. I might win. I don't know, but I'll tell you this: we both gonna be hurt because I don't fight fair. I'm gonna hit him. Yeah. I'm gonna all the cheat moves.
Mm-hmm.
He's a strong motherfucker.
I'm gonna use a rock, throw sand in your eyes, like
whatever I gotta do.
I ain't playing fair when it comes to an actual fight.
Neither one of us is gonna come out there looking good.
Because I promise you, like if I'm when I'm out deployed and I hope eventually or maybe one day like face an enemy, I'm not gonna fight fair.
No,
I'm gonna hide in a bush and shoot you.
Yes,
because that's what they taught us to do in MCT. Like
correct.
Like they would say over and over again, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah. And again, my favorite game, I win.
I win. Yeah,
it's the best game you could play because I win.
That's what like in MCT. It was the second ambush that I was like a part of. I was in full cami paint, full vegetation, hiding in a bush, camping. Right? See a hole. They were patrolling, lit their fucking asses up. They're all dead.
Yeah.
It's like that's how you win. It's just, gee, like I hid in a bush. You didn't see me. I see you. You're all dead. I got you. That's how you win shit.
And hopefully what it teaches you too is that now you're looking for the dude in the bush.
But now I'm looking around for dudes in bushes. Yeah. I mean, actually, when it came to cover, when it came to concealment, camouflage, I was actually very good at that. I didn't know I was because, I've never hid in a bush and tried to shoot someone, right?
Yeah.
I got very good at that. Like, I could blend into the woods pretty fucking well because my instructor specifically, that was his like specialty.
Yeah,
that was his shit that he really liked to do. So he taught us very well. So I was very good at that. So when it came to ambushes, like they couldn't fucking see me, especially at night. I promise you, you're not seeing me.
Yeah, I love it.
That's how I kind of learned what if you want to say my fighting style is sneaky, being stealthy.
Yeah,
because it works. Because like you can be as big as you want. If you don't see me and I'm behind you in a bush, I'm gonna pop your head off.
Yeah, all that size don't mean shit.
It don't mean shit when I put a 5.56 through your dome.
Boom. I love it. So you have two more questions. The other one was the difference between military boot camp and law enforcement boot camp.
Yeah, so we've talked a bit about this. So I'll have you start off first.
So with the understanding, my first academy and really the only boot camp really was Hillsborough County. I went through Hillsborough County, FBI, halfway through. They didn't like me.
Yeah, no.
And then I went through State Trooper Academy, and then I went through Secret Service Academy.
Yes.
FBI and Secret Service Academies, those were basically college style. So I wouldn't call that a boot camp. Hillsborough County was actually, back in the day, they don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Legit boot camp. You spent the night, 2 weeks, every day. And it was, again, just to reiterate, I do this all the time.
Yeah.
I was not in the military.
Yes.
I'm not saying that we are soldiers. I am not saying that. But they had the instructors, the drill instructors, was mimicked off of military style. And we had a heavy, and most of the guys that were there that were considered our drill instructors were from the military, and several of them were Marine Corps DIs that were creating a 2-week boot camp.
Makes sense.
They were condensing, right? So they had the help. They had the system. They had the teaching part. They had the heavy, a lot of PT, sand pit, make sugar cookies.
Oh, I fucking hate sugar cookies.
But in a similar concept, you're taking civilians, because all of us, nobody was in law enforcement, and I think my Hillsborough County one, we had maybe out of, I think it was like 30 guys, or 30 people, because there's guys and girls. 4 of them were former military. One of them was a Green Beret, so we're like, all right,
okay,
we got it.
Yeah. He's killed people, and we got
it. He did, and he's a great dude, and he was the quiet one.
Yep, those are usually the killers.
shout out. We don't use names on the podcast, but it's shit.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna say name, but I met some sergeants that actually saw combat and took bodies.
Yeah,
they were always quiet.
They're different.
They never talked about it, and they were different. Like I could tell there's something off with them. And so eventually, like we ask around, and then they're like, "Yeah, I had to kill 2 people."
Yeah.
And then they're like, we're like, "How do you feel about that?" He's just like, "I did my fucking job, didn't I?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Yes, Sergeant," and then that was it, and that's all they say.
And that's how this guy was, because we would do like, who's ever been in hand-to-hand combat, like to the death? Only he would raise his hand. Who's ever killed anybody with a rifle? Because stop putting your hand up.
Yeah, we know.
Got it, bro.
Yeah, we know. We know what you did.
But he was the guy. But so they did. The concept was there. They taught you drill.
Oh, you did drill?
Oh yeah. They taught you how to march. They taught you how to do all those things.
Oh, yeah.
They punished you. They did. In law, they call it tornado drill because they did it in state police as well.
Oh, where they just fuck your shit up?
You'd go out and for like 4 hours, which to get perspective, you're not like actively running for 4 hours.
Yeah.
His body wasn't built for that. But you're running, sprinting, pull-ups, holding, sitting. They had to give you water breaks, all this other stuff.
Yeah, I'm tracking.
You're going to do push-ups and sit-ups and up-downs and burpees in the sand pit. You're covered in sand. In Florida, it's sugar sand, so it's
fine powder.
It's super fine. It's everywhere. It's in your fucking crotch and your butthole.
Yeah, body glide.
Dude, it's
the shit.
Awful. And then you come back to your barracks, and it's fucking just all your mattresses, everything that you had. They had screamed at you because you had to fold it all a certain way, iron it. It was all in the yard, and it was all mixed. Your fucking toothbrushes and like everything was scattered. You had 5 minutes to put it together. It's like, clearly that's impossible.
Yeah.
And we were, you took men and women who, families, king size bed, comfort, and we're all sleeping on twin size cots that they actually got from the jail.
Nice.
Using jailhouse sheets and blankets. And you're punishing them for 10, 12 hours a day. And then you had classwork, and then you're eating in like 3 minutes. And so they did that for 2 weeks. But afterwards, you felt like you accomplished something. And then you rolled into your actual like classwork where you're learning the laws and how to enforce the law.
So you only did that for 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks, correct. And the best part of that was learning how to shoot.
Yeah.
And I grew up with military parents. I grew up around guns, rifles, pistols. Mostly my dad. I don't think I've actually ever went and shot with grandma. I don't think so.
Wow.
I'm trying to remember, and if I have forgotten, I just have forgotten. But
yeah,
I grew up shooting. So I was very comfortable. And yes, humble brag, expert marksman, all academies.
Yeah.
Is what it is. But what I will say is there were a shitload, and it was eye-opening. How many people were getting into law enforcement who had never fucking shot a gun?
Yeah.
They're holding it sideways. They're shooting the fucking berm from like away, like in the ground, basically. I'm like, oh my God, like horrifying. Like I'm scared.
Like what the fuck?
Like, oh my God. But yeah, they teach you all the weapon systems. So yeah, so I've done that through all the different agencies. Obviously with maybe not obviously.
Did you have like when you're doing the firearms, did you have a thing like safety violators or anything?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So we had red shirts, typically on a law enforcement fire line, the people who are firearms.
So yeah, those are your firearm instructors.
Yes. Then we had, I guess you had them in combat, black shirt.
Yeah, black shirts. Those are field guys.
So red shirts, it was either 1-to-1 or 1-to-2. Kind of depends on the size of the class. And if you had there's guys that would be like, oh, my gun jammed, and would swing across the line with their finger on the, like wild shit.
Yeah.
And they would grab them and fucking smack the gun out of their hand.
Well, could they get like dropped for that? And
yes.
Okay. So that's similar. Same thing for.
In all the academies, I've seen 5 people.
Yep.
They said, you cannot do this.
Yeah.
Multiple violations. It's not one violation you're out. It's like, you're not getting it.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with you. Or you're just refusing to learn.
Yeah, like we had certain levels. So like if you're like, goodness,
somebody gets. Well, actually, I take that back. I only had one person get dropped for marksmanship. That was Secret Service. Because Secret Service, actually, you have to have a high level of marksmanship. Because typically, and it makes sense, you are in crowded space. You need to
can't shoot a civilian.
What the fuck you're shooting at?
Yeah.
And I say that, and I just did a couple, like 2 or 3 episodes ago. Secret Service has had a rash, like 6 shootings in 2024.
Wow.
And with the exception of the sniper, the Secret Service sniper who took out another sniper,
yeah,
they all fucking missed.
It's awful.
Blows my mind because that was the only time I saw 2 people get dropped because they just couldn't hit the mark. You had to hit, you could only miss 5 rounds. And when I say miss, that means you weren't in the target.
Yeah, you weren't in
the paper, but you weren't in the target.
Yeah.
And they dropped them.
Yeah. So, I mean, similar with that, especially with the Marine Corps, every Marine's a rifleman. So, like, when it came to shooting, it was the longest part of training. It's 2 weeks on the rifle range. So, with us, like, safety violators, like, there's also, like, it also depends on what your instructor's mood was.
Fair enough.
So, let's say you flag someone, but you were conditioned 4, which is, like, no round in the chamber, no magazine. There's a flag. There's also a safety flag in your rifle. Yeah, they would chew you apart, right?
Yeah.
But if you did it, but you want to get dropped for that.
Yep.
Unless you kept doing it, obviously. But, like, we had one dude, he immediately got dropped for this, which makes sense. So, weapon on hot, condition 1, finger on the trigger, flagged a shooting instructor.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Get fucked, bro. Like,
yeah.
He immediately got dropped. Didn't see him the next day. He was in our platoon.
Rightfully so.
And there's this one other fucking
you have to take that shit serious.
Yeah, there's this one dumbass. While the line was hot, we were actively shooting across the firing line because he dropped something.
Yeah, can't do it.
Dumbass.
And again, for people listening who've never shot guns or whatever like that, they beat this shit into your head.
Yep.
For days, sometimes weeks.
Because before shooting, basically it was kind of like 3 weeks of rifle training. You had grass week, which is hours of just dry firing.
Yep.
Hours.
Hated it.
Nothing's in it. You're just holding position with nothing and you're shooting at a fucking barrel.
Super important.
But it's very important. It's very important.
Never held a gun.
Exactly. Like, I thought it was dumb because, well, I've shot guns with you. Yeah. I obviously know not to fucking point a rifle at anyone, but these people didn't know that.
Yeah.
People didn't know that. They think it's a toy.
It blows my mind.
And also, that's the one thing about boot that always confused me a little bit. So you get your rifles like 3rd day that you're at training, and basically they don't really hammer the safety rules into your head from that get go because you're used to it being completely unloaded, nothing in there, and people just kind of generally flag each other, especially when doing drill and stuff.
Yeah.
So like we're kind of used to like treating the rifle as like nothing because it's like, well, it's part of you because it goes everywhere with you. And you're just used to it not being loaded, so you start getting really, really, really comfy with it. And you start forgetting that this is a weapon that can take a life.
Yes.
So once we got to range, people, muscle memory, you would just like casually lower your weapon because you just like, you're used to doing that for 2 months and they get fucked up for it. Because as they should, because it's a weapon, but like everyone was used to like just treating it as nothing.
Yeah, it's just a part of you.
And then all of a sudden, like a switch flips, grass week, now you can't point it at anyone. Now you have to be super attentive of where that muzzle is.
Yeah.
So that fucked with some people. That's the one thing in training as like from the get go, that's how you should treat your rifle.
Yeah. Well, we've kind of tied into the third question, which was the difference in shootings, our shooting styles.
Yes. You shot more pistols.
So, yes. Again, law enforcement.
Yeah, because you're law enforcement.
Pistol on us. And I'm not SWAT or any specialty team because they train heavily with rifles and stuff. I've trained with all these different weapon systems, fully automatic, shotguns, breaching tool, all this stuff. But yeah, 80% maybe, it might be higher than that, is pistol, marksmanship, qualification, stance, how you shoot. And again, good or bad, because nothing but respect for people who can stick with one agency for their entire career and then retire. I've been through 4 now, and I've learned from 4 different agencies or academies, and they break down the way you grip the pistol, the way you squeeze the trigger, dry firing, the way it feels, the way the gun feels. I've shot, 9s, 40s, 45s. I've shot different weapon systems. I've qualified with different weapon systems. stupidest fucking weapon system I ever had was the first one with the Secret Service, which the director Ailes, Trump, got rid of because he's like, this is the stupidest shit I've ever seen.
Is that bad?
Again,
what was it?
For law enforcement. It was the SIG 365.
Got it. So what made it so shitty?
It was double action, single action. So your first trigger pull was 10-pound trigger pull, and then the remaining
is light.
Were 3.
That's dumb as hell.
For law enforcement.
That's dumb. No, that is dumb for law enforcement.
Again, I have to.
Your first shot is like, that's the one that matters.
The crucial one.
That's the crucial one.
10-pound trigger pull. And the thought process when they rolled it out was, you have to really want to shoot if you're gonna shoot, that kind of a thing, not accidental, not light trigger, whatever.
But if you have your pistol out, you should already be ready. Like if your pistol's running ready to go, you're about to use that thing.
Correct. And again, I have a tendency of saying things like that when I'm talking about pistol systems. Again, this is law enforcement based. The SIGs make great weapons. I have, actually, your sister has a 6-hour P365.
Yep.
The subcompact, 9mm.
So
it's a great weapon.
Yeah. So another question. So
my favorite weapon is the 1911, still to this day.
But, I mean,
it only has 7 rounds.
But man, it's a pretty gun.
So again, for law enforcement, maybe not the best. Yeah.
So were you more taught to shoot to wound or to shoot to kill?
Oh no. Let's address that. There is no such thing as shoot to wound in law enforcement.
Or like shoot to just stop them.
Nope. Well, the way they phrase it is you incapacitate the threat.
Yeah.
It's all about word usage, right? But for people, because you see this shit in the news all the time, why don't you shoot him in the leg or the hand or blah, blah, blah. That shit's fucking impossible. It's a high stress environment, shit rapidly evolving. It's, again, TV and movies do no justice. I think John Wick finally made it like somewhat realistic in the sense that it's moving and shooting.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of action going on. And you're not like, oh, this guy is actively shooting at me or shooting at somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just try to hit him in the leg.
That's not how that fucking works.
Also, if I shoot you in the fucking leg, you can still shoot me.
Exactly.
Dudes in combat overseas, this is where a lot of this comes from, they were shooting people in the chest cavity.
Yeah.
They were still fighting for like 5 minutes, shooting with 3, 4, 5 bullets in their chest.
Yeah, adrenaline.
We even had some reports where they shot him in the fucking head, like through the orbital, like through the eye. They're still putting bullets down range.
Oh shit!
Your body doesn't just click off unless you hit that.
Yeah, that
right
the T-box.
You got to separate the brain stem, things like that. The T-box. Yeah. So that's another thing that's kind of gone back and forth depending on the agency. It's chest, then head. Now it's working down into the pelvic girdle.
Because
you're now taking them out of the fight.
Yeah, because in boot camp they is two to the chest, one to the pelvic.
Yeah,
that's a lot of the shooting in that. And then when I got to combat training, it was back to 2 to the chest, 1 to the head.
Once again, depending on the distance, all these other things, the head's a hard fucking shot,
especially while moving.
Yes,
I mean it depends on the type of shooter you are. For me, it wasn't too hard for me to hit the head and any of that, but I can see from like when you start getting really far, like at 500 meters, right? Because that's where I've shot from.
Yep.
That head is like the size of my fucking pinky.
Correct. Like your iron sight will, even if you use a fucking red dot, it'll cover the target. You don't know where you're hitting it.
And like they want you to look at like the reticle, not the target.
Yeah. Which
is another thing. So like not only are you staring just at the reticle and behind it, that target's blurry, the target's super small too.
Yeah. So
it's very interesting.
That's one of the things that I can't stand is the Monday morning quarterback. You know, when somebody's in a shooting or you see an officer involved shooting and they're like, oh, you hit him in the arm or look at his bullet placement. It's like, dude.
Yeah, man.
His fucking blood pressure, his adrenaline is max the fuck.
And mostly when like adrenaline, like that much adrenaline's in your body, you're shaking.
Yeah.
Your body's shaking.
And you're trying to breathe. You're trying to go through all. I mean, and this is the other thing. I can take you on a firing line for years.
Yeah.
Until somebody's actually shooting at you.
Yep.
And you're about to take a fucking human life. You have no idea how you're going to react. You don't know. You hope your training kicks in and takes over. But even then, after the fact, and this is something that we're going to talk about again later on, is after the fact, let's say you win and you killed the bad guy. You took a life, man.
Yeah.
you can justify it, So
affects.
call them clean shoots, meaning
Yeah.
legally you were within your right to do it. But again, you still have to deal with that.
So to deal with that, the fact that he took a life, and like I got a.
And again, I don't hate on anybody that's like, this isn't for me.
Yeah,
it's not for everybody.
It really isn't.
It should not be.
Like
you don't want a bunch of soldiers and fucking cops running around. You don't want that. You need a mix.
Yeah, we had someone like that in our platoon.
Yeah,
like he was just like this. This is not for me. This is not.
Nope.
I can't do this.
Nope.
Not because he was like a pussy or anything. It's just like this. It didn't sit well with him, like mentally. Like I can't. I don't want to take life. It doesn't matter whose. I don't want to do it. And for that, like they let him go for that. But I got a taste of obviously it wasn't being shot at.
Yeah.
But bullets going over my head.
Yeah.
Yes. So we did this thing called buddy rushing.
Scary.
It's horrifying. So like,
if they miss?
Because what if like my buddy shoots me in the fucking back of my head?
Yeah.
So I got a little taste of what it's like to have bullets going by you and past you. Yeah. And like, yeah, I had way more adrenaline in my body. Like I was dead ass only listening to my instructor telling me when to move and when not to move.
Yeah.
Because like I thought you could figure it out because you wait for them to start firing and then you get up, then you drop, you start firing. Like that's the pattern.
Yeah.
But bullets going by me, I was just shooting, and then my buddy started shooting. I was still shooting because I was so tunnel vision. There's so much adrenaline coursing through my body that like my instructor is the only one telling me, Martin, get up and keep moving.
Yeah.
Because like there's brass going by, not brass. There's bullets going by my head now.
Yeah.
And I mean, it wasn't even close to me, obviously, but just the feeling like, yeah, there's bullets going by me this way was more than enough to get me like shaky.
Yeah. And I have been through many a training scenario with sim rounds, which are basically bullets with, let's just call it soap or paint, whatever.
Yeah.
Hurts like a bitch.
Yep.
And they always shoot me in the fucking hands or in the ass.
Oh.
Always. Every time I've ever been shot, it's in the hands or the ass. And it hurts. And we would have some dickhead instructors that would freeze them.
Oh.
Yeah. So you'd be bleeding or have welts. Again, you're not going to die.
Yeah.
It's not going to puncture you.
Non-lethal doesn't mean it's not going to hurt.
Oh, buddy. Not lethal does not mean it doesn't hurt.
It's going to break some bones.
It still could fucking hurt. But then I've done several scenarios where we use live fire and we're moving and shooting as a unit together.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, it's like you got real bullets in there now.
Yeah.
You don't want to shoot your buddy.
Yep.
You don't want to flag it.
Especially
it gets amped the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because these are real bullets.
Yep.
And again, this is in a controlled environment, but
it's still adrenaline.
Just sitting there shooting at a paper target is not the same.
Absolutely not.
It's actually why I'm a big fan of hunting, because it's leading your target.
Yeah.
All those. And again, you're taking a life.
Mm-hmm.
So I thank my dad for that, because we would go hunting a lot, and I've killed deer and stuff like that, and he made me skin it and eat it, and you respect what you just did.
Yeah.
And it's hard to put into words the skill set and the amount of time it takes to get to that one point.
Yeah.
You can go buy a gun. You can go get a hunting license. You can go in the woods. Doesn't mean you're going to shoot shit.
Yep.
Even if you see something, doesn't mean you're going to shoot shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a lot of skill set to get to the ability to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm talking about deers and shit, let alone, human combat.
Yeah, exactly.
You remind me of one story. I don't think I've told it. I was in Secret Service Academy down in Fletsy in Georgia. And I was laughing. I'm laughing about now. The difference between law enforcement and military. This is part of your question.
Yeah.
So we had so once you get into the federal side, it's a lot more military guys. It seems to be an easier transition for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So we're doing active shooter drills. And you're going into this huge building. It depends on 2 to 4 of you, whatever. Just depends on your group. And we're using sim rounds and shit. But you're like, hey, somebody's actively shooting. This is a school shooting. Kids are dying.
Shit.
Get your fucking ass in there. So you're going in, you're clearing the rooms. Mm-hmm. There's people running out. People could be victims. They could be, witnesses. They're scared. They might be injured. You might need to give medical care. Mm-hmm. You don't know what's going on. Or it could be the bad guy trying to get behind you.
Yeah.
So they did all these scenarios. Well, in one of them, I was with 2 guys. One was a Navy SEAL. The other one was a Ranger. They're out of the military.
Yeah.
And they're fucking smooth as silk with a rifle, dude. it. I was like,
yeah,
like seeing that level, it's a high level skill set. It's cool to watch. But we're going through and we shot the shooter or a shooter because there was two shooters in this. We shoot the shooter. And as I'm going to detain the guy, because I'd already been a cop, I was going to handcuff him and do my thing. The Navy SEAL guy walks up, goes, pap, pap, and double taps him on the ground. And the instructors, everything stops, lights go on. Everyone's like, whoa, 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 whoa. What the fuck are you doing? He's like, what do you mean? I can't advance to the next section. I got an enemy behind me. Just because he's injured doesn't mean he can't shoot me in the back. And they're like, whoa, dude, no. Time out.
Time out.
We don't execute people.
He just absolutely just double tapped his ass.
But I liked his mindset. I understood his mindset. I was like, he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong.
And, but
it's not military.
There were 4 of us.
Yeah.
So like I was gonna handcuff and drag. That's what you're supposed to do in the setting. But what if there's one of them or 2 of them?
Yeah.
You gonna let that guy stay behind while kids are getting shot?
No. Me personally, no.
It led to a good conversation, but it's like this is the difference between law enforcement and military. I've heard, again, this is new stuff, and I'm trying not to conflate the two things. Indiscriminate shooting and stuff like that. It's not indiscriminate. This is a bad dude who was killing people shooting up a school.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. But you're not in the military right now. You're in the United States. There are laws. You can't execute people.
Can't do that.
So it's a different mindset.
Can't execute people anyways, but.
Oversee. I mean, if the enemy's approaching.
Well,
you got to fucking. You got to click, whatever it is, right? Whatever the scenario is. Again, I'm not special forces, I'm not military. I'm sure I'm going to get blasted or whatever, but it's like, it's different than when you're shooting an enemy who's trying to wipe you out, blow you up or whatever, right? This is different.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the part that's difficult for some guys in the military when they transition to law enforcement.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Not just the confidence and the skill sets, but like you need to you got to really know the law. And again, we were in training, so this guy, he didn't know. And it was fine.
Gotcha. Circle back. Last thing, I'll touch upon one thing: the non-lethal stuff.
Oh yeah.
When I got gassed.
Oh yeah, love it.
So like tear gas, right?
Yeah.
It won't kill you.
No.
It won't kill you. But holy shit, it feels like it's going to. Because
talk through that. What that looks like.
So.
Because a lot of people never dealt with it.
Oh, okay. So it was gas chamber day, and it's also rappel tower day. So 2 things in the same day. Yeah. So you're getting over your fear of heights. Me, I loved it. I mean, I got to go down. I did the helicopter one, so basically it was just loose line. I just slid all the way down. That shit was super fun. It was funny when I got to the top there, the black shirt. Like I don't know why he was in the mood. He's like, I fucking hate you. I just appeared. I was like, yes, sir. He's like, you better go down there, not like a fucking pussy, son. Or I'm gonna. You're like, yes, sir. Then I didn't. I slid all the way down, and I even heard him say like, there, just like fucking that. It's like good shit. But
I can tell you, I probably wouldn't do that. I have a fear of heights.
Yeah, and some people did.
I have a big pee stain in my.
And what they would do for people that had heights, he's like, who's afraid of heights? If you are, like, turn your blouse inside out. So people did. They go first, right? And I would see them just basically kick them off the tower. Like literally, like they would put their boot on their fucking head and like shove them off to get them down. But so when it came to gas chamber, that was the thing I had nerves for. Yeah. Everyone's nervous for the gas chamber because if you fuck it up, you're in a world of fucking pain if you do. So we're getting our gas masks and we're getting the filters and like it's not all set to go. You're setting this up yourself. You're putting in your filters. You've got to make sure your shit is correct or you're gonna get fucked up. Not by the drill instructors, by that gas. So you make sure your shit's tight as fuck to your face. Like you're all nervous, whatever. You feel the slight remnants of gas that was still in the mask.
Yeah.
And like your face, just putting on is already like burning a little bit. You're like, oh shit. All right. So we're all lined up, waiting. We're in formation, waiting to get into the gas chamber. It's our turn. Everyone's like, fuck, here we go. So we go in, right? I didn't know it burns your skin. That just it being there. So I walk in, my skin's spicy. And I'm already like, oh my God, my skin's burnt. It feels like I poured hot sauce all over my body. I hate it. So we're all standing there and they tell us to break the seal.
Oof.
Right? So you're closing your eyes, you're holding your breath, you're feeling the gas touch all over your face, everything's burning. And then the way you're supposed to do it is you push the mask basket on your face when you tell you to basically make a new seal. You blow out with any breath you got left to get all that bad air out. And then with any remnant of air you have left in your lungs, suck back in. And then you can breathe again. The whole thing, I did it correctly. I didn't get fucked up. But second round of breaking the seal, someone fucks it up. And all of a sudden, I seen their mask go orange. They threw up in their mask.
Yeah.
Holy shit. He was rolling around, panicking. Because, like, who wouldn't? Like, not only did you vomit in your mask, now you can't breathe. And instead of being greeted with, like, fresh air to breathe, now you're greeted with fucking tear gas.
Yeah.
And this guy is just in a world of things. To respect, credit where credit is due, he finished. He stayed in the gas chamber. The rule is like, you just have to stay in the gas chamber 5 minutes. Doesn't mean you had to do it correctly.
You could suffer.
You could suffer if you wanted.
Whatever you need to do.
Yeah. So we all finished. It's just like, just knowing that this shit is not lethal, but how awful it was and how painful it was. It's just crazy. Like this is non-lethal, but oh my God, does it hurt?
Oh yeah.
And then so we all pile out of the gas chamber, flapping our arms, doing that shit. We all take out the masks. That's when I finally catch a whiff. Because it like comes off someone's clothes.
Oh, yeah.
The wind blows. And I caught a nice fucking fit. Oh my God. It burns so bad. I started snot all the way down to my fucking boots. I was like, my eyes were puffy and red. I was like, oh God, this is awful. And I could only imagine what like that guy went through just sucking it in.
Yeah. So for people who've never gone through it, there's 2 different methods. Again, I was never an instructor, so I don't know all the technical terms. But they can either pop a canister or they light something.
They light for us, they light a little tab and they let it burn.
Whatever that fucking tab is. I've done both. Because again, in all the academies, I've gotten tased, pepper sprayed, gas chamber, and then I did some additional training where like the beanbag gun and pepper ball gun. Ooh. Well, you need the way they explain it is you need to know what it feels like so you don't abuse it because you're fucking somebody up. Also, OC spray and gas in the gas chamber, it affects people differently.
Yeah.
Some people, horrific reactions, eyes swollen, face swollen, can't breathe. Some people, irritating, not comfortable, but not the end of the world. I am the former. My body does not like it.
Yeah.
My eyes will swell. My eyes will burn. It feels like shards of glass in my eyes. My throat, I can't breathe. It's awful. And so they put you in this room. It varies on the size, 20 by 20, whatever.
It's a tiny room.
And they pop a fucking canister or they light the tab. And depending on what agency, put your gas mask on, you feel it burning your fucking skin. It gets real hot real quick, sweating. They walk you through it. Well, state police, they're like, all right, take your masks off. Say the trooper's pledge.
Oof.
They want you to burn.
Yeah.
Then put your gas mask back on, clear it, and sit in it for a minute. Because again, the thought is, if this ever happens to you, you need to know you can function.
Yeah.
Same thing if you get pepper sprayed. I made it 45 seconds, and I was done. And the sergeant was standing at the door. I said, and I was like standing there because I'm ready, because we did it one at a time.
Yeah.
And he was looking at his watch. I'm like, you better fucking move. He's like, what'd you say to me, recruit? And I went, boom, and I fucking knocked through the door and vomited because I didn't want to puke in my gas mask.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that. I never did it. And luckily they had a good spirit about it. They were laughing because I'm on all fours.
Yeah, you're fucking
not
suffering.
tripping down. Like, it's not like I was being I'm like, dude, I'm going to fucking lose it.
It's going to be bad.
So they let it go. They're like, all right.
Yeah.
Martin's good. And then my face got real swollen and like my eye, I could almost not see. They're like, oh, you don't react well to this, do you? And I said,
hell no.
No, I don't. I've already been through this 3 fucking times. They're like, all right, you're good. Get out of here. Get the fuck out of my face. But they're like, yeah, get out of here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is fucking painful. Now, with that being said, again, law enforcement, and we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Law enforcement, pepper spray, tasers, incredibly effective.
I watched you go through that.
But not all the time.
Training video.
Absolutely. Reacts very well to me.
Yeah, it does.
But I have tased people that
Ate that.
Prongs in, they rip the prongs out. Didn't affect it.
Oh, shit.
I pepper sprayed people. 0 effect.
Ate that, huh?
So sometimes it doesn't work.
Holy.
Yeah, so you need to be able to go to transition to other tools.
Yep.
I'll tell you what always works. Fucking baton always works, baby.
That bitch hurts.
Metal stick. Right?
Don't matter.
Whacking them arms and the legs. All right, buddy. Damn, buddy. We talked for almost 2 hours.
God damn.
I loved it.
Some
Anything
good
you
trash.
want to leave with?
I'm finally happy that I got to do this. I'm happy that I chose what I did because I've learned a lot and I still got plenty more to learn.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm bottom of the totem pole.
Private, baby.
I'm a private.
Not even private first class yet.
Not a PFC yet. so still got plenty to learn. Still got probably going to have so many more stories later on. Still get fucked up. And that don't matter, but I'm just happy I got to share just what little bit that I know, and I'm happy that I can understand you a lot more than I ever have because I've done this.
Well, I love you, buddy.
I love you too, Dad.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Dad.
We'll do this again as your training continues.
Hey, mate, one day it could be Sergeant Martin. We'll see.
All right, buddy. Thank you.